Hi, I'm Ren.
I'm Sam.
I'm Tosh, and
we're
we're
the
the
T
T
Swift
Swift
sisters.
sisters.
Welcome back to the T Swift Sisters podcast, a Taylor Swift fan podcast for Swifties by Swifties. In today's episode, we're talking the big week for Swifties. It's going to be crazy. Taylor and Super Bowl 58. And we have a super special interview with a super sweet Swiftie behind the amazing account that helps get tickets into the hands of fans. Era's resale, Jayna. Here's this week's Swift Scoop. All right. So if you've been following Taylor Swift, which I totally hope that you are if you're listening to this podcast, but also it's totally cool if you're not because it's our job to tell you what's going on in the Swift world. It is a huge week for Swifties, for Taylor Swift, for everybody that's involved. Let's dive right in. We have this weekend, Sunday, February 4th, is the Grammys. Taylor's nominated for 6 Grammy Awards. She is not performing. It was confirmed today, probably by Tree, but she's not performing. So don't expect to see her perform, but you can expect to see her walk the red carpet, hopefully pick up some Grammys, at least one. Hopefully all 6 would be absolutely iconic. But if you want to hear more about what she's nominated for, what's going to go down at the Grammys, listen to last week's episode, season 2, episode 16. So you can get all of the info on that. Sammy did an amazing job breaking down the Grammys for us, and we love her for that. And then after that, just 3 days after the Grammys, Era's tour is finally back. I cannot believe that Taylor is about to kick off the International Eras Tour starting on Wednesday, February 7th. She will be in Tokyo. She takes the Eras Tour to Tokyo, and it's a little bit maybe like not confusing is the right word, but like it's not going to happen in the times that we know, right? Because Taylor's not here. So Sammy and I were talking about it a little before this episode, but when the show starts at 6 p.m. or like however things start off at 6 p.m., it will be 4 a.m. Eastern time. So every morning that you wake up and like start your day, the Eras Tour will likely be either about to end or wrapping up for the day. Yeah. So we will have all the information, in the morning as it comes. That being said, our episodes do release on Wednesdays. So I would love to tell you guys that we'd have all the content on the Eras Tour first show in Tokyo next week, but it won't be until the following week because we actually record on Monday evenings. So we'll have a whole little lowdown for you on what went down the following week. And it'll be great because we'll also be recapping the Super Bowl. So amazing. If anything happens though with like rep or big or crazy, that'll be on our social media, which is a great opportunity for you guys to follow because that's where we share news in real time. But if you can't, just wait until the next episode and we will have everything for you. And speaking of Super Bowl, Taylor is heading to her first Super Bowl. I feel like such a proud football mom. I am like so ready. I feel bad because I a little bit dumped my team, but like we didn't make it this year, so it's fine. I am full throttle Kansas City Chiefs fan right now. Like, give me all of the Chiefs gear. Maybe not repping like a Travis Kelce jersey, but if it was like a Taylor Swift 1989 jersey that was red in Kansas City, I'd probably be wearing it. So, with that, let's talk about some of the fun stuff that's happening with the Super Bowl. Sammy, do you want to take it away?
Yeah. So aside from fans preparing for the Super Bowl, we also have airline industries going full throttle for flights taking fans, both Swifties and football fans, to Vegas for Super Bowl Sunday. And big thing, they're using our play-ons and our language to name their flights. So United Airlines has made flight 1989, flight 2287, and flight 1587, which is amazing. Love them for that. I love that they're speaking our language and really appealing to us Swifties as well, which is totally cool. And American Airlines has also hopped on the trend and made flight 1989 and flight 87. Going back to United, I think it's funny that they directly said that it's an ode to their favorite Chiefs power couple because there's a lot loaded in that, but they're really appealing to us Swifties. And I just want to know your thoughts. Like, are we expecting a lot of Swifties to catch flights to Vegas? Are we thinking that it's more than just airlines that are going to be, paying attention to the Swifties and giving us content, especially with commercials for Super Bowl? Like, what are we thinking? This is huge.
It absolutely is huge. And I want to just go back to the United flight and the numbers because I'm reading them on the screen and I was like a little bit confused at first. So I want to really break them down so we know like what they are. Because obviously we have flight 1989. Everybody knows what that is. You don't have
Right.
to be a Swiftie or a Kansas City Chiefs fan to know the iconic year that gave us both literally Travis and Taylor. 2287, that one like it stumped me for a second. I was like, hold on, what's going on here? But 87, Travis Kelsey's number, 22, Taylor Swift, 22. Got it. 1587. I was like, okay, wait, but you also mentioned iconic Kansas City Chiefs like power couples, but it could totally also be the iconic Kansas City Chief power couple of Patrick Mahomes, who is number 15, and Travis Kelsey, number 87. So I love that
It
because it
is.
could be both ways.
That's
Yeah, I
cute.
know like Swifties were probably thinking like 15, her iconic song 15, but that one was a shout out to Patrick and Travis specifically. So we got a lot of power couples like going on here, not just Taylor and Travis. There's the OGs.
Mhm.
So I love that this is happening, but I'm just thinking of how big this is for airlines to be, giving attention to the Swiftie fandom, something as big as naming flights and creating additional flights and naming them, after things that are Swiftie related. Like who else is going to hop on board with this trend?
Yeah.
Right.
What was I gonna say? I was today years old when I found out that airlines actually numbered, like they chose the number that the flight is.
I
Like,
thought it
why
was
did I
like
always
written
think
on the plane.
I thought it was just always like computer automated. I don't know, like flight no sé qué is always flight no sé qué. Like I didn't know that it could be anything else. Yeah, I was today years old when I found out about that, and I was like, the Swift effect, that's your favorite term. I was like, yes. I think that we're probably gonna get some commercials. Like I'm gonna assume at least one commercial, but they're gonna be. I feel like it has to be low production because these Super Bowl commercials take so much time to like produce, to film, to do all of this stuff. And like, unless, I mean, we've talked about it before, Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, like there is almost guaranteed that they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So some people could have made these commercials like hoping that this was going to happen and they have them like laying around. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of coverage. Obviously, there's already been today all over social media if Taylor Swift is going to make it to the game and the math and how she could do it. I'm like, hello, did you not just listen to our podcast last week when we broke it down how Taylor would be at the game because of her schedule? But I definitely think we're going to see a lot of the Taylor Swift effect. Probably not as much as like when she first got involved in the NFL because we do still have those awful dads, brads, and chads, but they're going to definitely bring her into the narrative because the female viewership of the games have gone up so much as a direct result of Taylor that they're going to give us what we need. Like we're tuning in to see our girl and they're going to feed us for sure.
Mhm.
It's the
Right.
Super Bowl. Everybody's got to eat,
Giving more
I
than
think
crumbs.
I think too what's insane is like we thought it was a big deal when like cities were changing their names for Eras tour and like that seems like the most like over the top like iconic thing that could happen, but I feel like the airline is like another step because it's like Taylor Swift is not playing in the Super Bowl. So the fact that like she's still involved in these airline numbers or like flight names, whatever they are, like is pretty iconic. Like it's insane.
Right.
Yeah.
She's literally involved in the path from getting you from your hometown to Vegas for the sake of the Super Bowl.
Right.
They put Taylor Swift in the middle of that, and that's amazing.
I can just picture like the pilot, like, like welcome to flight 1989. Like, are they gonna like do a little pun? Are they gonna like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I think with the Super Bowl commercials, like it doesn't have to be full on like Swifty. We might get like an innuendo here and there.
Yes. Yep.
Maybe, I don't know, a chip commercial is going to feature the dads, Brads, and Chads, just a little nod to everything that's been going on this football season that's Taylor related. And I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. And I think too, like obviously the Super Bowl is a huge game, an absolutely huge game. The Bills Chiefs game, which is a game that was last weekend that sent the Chiefs to the AFC Championship, which just happened this past weekend. They had snacks at the stadium named after Taylor. So I'm sure we can expect the same thing in Vegas. We'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of like rip-off merch outside the stadium for sure. That's going to be like Tavis Nation merch, something like Eras Tour meets Travis Kelce, Kansas City. We're going to see a lot of that. In terms of Swifties catching flights to the game, I don't know how many would actually do it just because the game itself is so expensive. And it looks like Kansas City to LA flights are either not to Vegas, are not super common, in which that they had to add more flights. So that means the cost of the flight is probably super expensive. Then staying in Vegas, so absolutely ridiculous. And then tickets to the game alone, Upper Bowl at the Super Bowl goes for $5,000 on the low end per ticket. So
that's insane.
Yeah, if there's any Swiftie who's listening to this and like you're a diehard Chiefs fan and you got to do it, you got to do it. But I just want to say, if you're a diehard Swiftie and you're not a diehard Chiefs fan, you're just a Chiefs fan, save those $5,000 and go to the Eras Tour again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a better experience, in my opinion, if you want the Taylor Swift of it all.
Right.
Like not to this extreme, but it's kind of giving a little bit of our Eras experience, like finding the flight, finding the means to get there. Obviously a different level of attainable or unattainable, but still I think that it would take a lot of effort. But I'm feeling the Eras vibe of this. Like maybe we'll see some restaurants nearby participating in something on theme for the day. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely there's definitely gonna be Taylor Swift vibes, but I think why I said if you're a bigger Swiftie than football fan, keep your cash, because at the end of the day, Taylor is going to be there, but she's going to be in a box. So
Right.
Good luck getting a seat by the box if you want to see her / you're not going to be, you're going to be watching the game versus the coverage that we're going to be seeing. So when Travis Kelce scores, we're going to see the camera cut away to Taylor and her reaction. If you're at the game, it's really unlikely that you're not going to see that. So it's just it depends on what you're more of a fan of, because like I said, if you're a huge diehard Kansas City fan, a huge Swiftie, and you can make it happen, if it was my team, I would probably do what I had to do to be there, because it's the Super Bowl and it's just a once in a lifetime experience, truly. But if you're on the fence, I'm going to say stay home, do the Super Bowl at home thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, especially if it's just to be in the same location as Taylor, because you can get that and more going to Eras Tour for cheaper, probably. So, well, if it's a normal,
Definitely something to think about, because of course, as we've discussed before, something that happens when big brands and big companies get involved, a whole airline trying to attract Swifties by giving these plans. Some people may, feel more obliged to participate, but don't feel the pressure of, paying crazy prices. If it doesn't happen, we're all going to see it on TV. Don't worry. This isn't the Swiftie event.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It is the Swiftie week though. If you're going to be a Swiftie any week of the year, this is the time to do it because of everything that's going on. / hopefully we get our reputation announcement that we've been all clowning for. It's supposed to be February 10th is the clowning date, right? And February 11th is the Super Bowl. So like I said, Swifties are going to be full this week. We are leaving no crumbs. We are not going to be any type of hunger. We are going to have it all.
Booked and busy.
I love to see it from Taylor. I love to see it for us. It's amazing for our pod because we have so much to share with you guys and so much to talk about. It's just going to be like an iconic week, really. But going back to the cost of like whether or not the Eras tour is the same price as the Super Bowl ticket, definitely depends on when you get the, like, if you're shopping resale and when you purchase it, because there are for sure some tickets or some people who think that they can sell their tickets for more than a Super Bowl ticket. But what I was getting at is that it's an absolutely amazing segue into our special guest this week who helps Swifties get tickets at face value prices through Twitter. So I just want to, welcome Jayna to the pod, and we will get started with the interview when we return. We have Jayna from Eras Resale on Twitter. If you are a Twitter Swiftie, then you know just how much she does for the Swiftie community, always putting in literally the most work to make sure that Swifties get their hands on tickets fair, like avoiding the bots, all of it. So I'm so glad to share with you guys that we have Jayna on to tell us all about her page and how things got started. And let's go for it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to get to talk a bit about my account.
Tell us your favorite Taylor Swift era, how long you've been a Swiftie, what made you a Swiftie, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, so my favorite era, like aesthetics wise, has always been Lover. I love the pastels and the pretty colors, and I like the music as well. But musically, it used to be Red, but now I've been on such a Speak Now Taylor's version kick. Like, that's like all I've been listening to. So I feel like that probably has taken the cake as of recently. And then the story on kind of how I became a Swiftie. So my best friend since middle school is like the biggest Swiftie I know. I'd always been a casual listener because of her. But I didn't consider myself really like a Swiftie. And then as time goes on and I start listening to her more, I started like listening to her a lot around 2019-ish. Especially after Lover came out. I really got into that, and so I just kind of started listening to her whole discography. And then I got really invested in it when I started trying to get me and my friend Eras Tour tickets, because we were both waitlisted everywhere we wanted to go. This was her first time that we were going to be going together, because she would typically go to all of Taylor Swift's tour with a different friend of ours, but then we stopped being friends with her. So this was really going to be our first time like going together. And of course we were waitlisted everywhere. So I was like, okay, I am going to get us these tickets. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but like, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
So.
And you did it?
Yes, I did. I got us tickets we were at Cincinnati night 2, which is the one that we were trying for anyway. So it worked out very well.
Yay.
That's awesome. So tell us, I guess that kind of might be where like your page started.
Yep. Yeah. So pretty much is like, so when we got waitlisted everywhere and didn't get tickets, and we tried the Capital One sale because I have Capital One card, that didn't work either. We were pretty much like, okay, I guess we're out of luck. So for a while I was just kind of bummed about it, and then I started joining all these Facebook groups. I was looking on Twitter. Like, I hadn't used Twitter regularly since like, oh gosh, maybe like 2016 or 2017. Like I was really active on Twitter when I was in high school, and then when I graduated high school in 2015, I was on it a little bit after, and then I pretty much stopped using it. So I started using Twitter again to try and look for tickets. I was following, some of the original accounts like Eras Tour Resale, and was trying for that, and I was in all the Facebook groups, and there was one Facebook group that I was in that had like the chat feature turned on. So there was like a giant group chat for that group on Facebook. And every time like someone would message in there like, hey, I have tickets for sale. I mean, 9 out of 10, probably not even that, like 99 out of 100 times they were scammers.
Yep.
But And if they said, you know, Cincinnati, I would entertain it just to see. And like at the same time, I was messaging like everyone on Twitter that was saying they had tickets, everyone on Facebook that was saying they had tickets. All of them were scammers. But then one day, this guy appears and he's like, "Hey, I have 2 Cincinnati tickets." And again, since the guy was using a very clearly fake profile, like it was brand new, it had no friends, like the profile.
That's when
like,
you know.
Yeah. I was like, this has to be fake. So I message him privately and I'm like, "Hey, like, can I have a screen recording?" And he sends me a screen recording. And at this point, I'd seen like hundreds of scam videos. So I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't have any red flags. Like, this looks real.
What?
Like, I was like, there's no way. So then I had him pretend to transfer me the tickets where I was like, okay, go click the transfer button, but enter, you know, my name, Jayna, into every box just so I can kind of see if, you know, see if I missed something. And he did that, and he went and did that. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm trying to remember what exactly, how, because I remember I asked him if we could do PayPal, and but because, you know, PayPal goods and services is the only thing that protects you.
Right.
And usually if someone doesn't accept that, it means they're a scammer. And I think he said he could, but then he was like, I'd really rather not. So how about I send you the ticket first and then you can send me money through Zelle?
Oh
And
my God.
I was a bit sketched out. And like the thing is like he was asking for like I think what I've figured out now was around face value, maybe even a little less. And at this point he had been like, I don't want to talk on Facebook anymore. Like, text me again at clearly a text app. So I downloaded a text app because I didn't want him to have my real number. So I started texting him on a text app too. It was great. And I was texting him and he's like, okay, I'm sending you the ticket. And he sends me, like, he does the first ticket first. He sends me the ticket and it's real and it's in my account. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is real. So I send him the money. Of course, I try to Zelle him and it's on a clearly like burner Zelle account. Right. Because it's like random letters at hotmail.com, which is, you know, one of the things that a lot of, who knows, but either way, the ticket was real. So, and my Zelle account got locked because it thought that I was getting like scammed. So
you're like, I think so too, but actually,
I know. So I had to, and I felt so bad. Like, I was like to him, I was like, can we do Venmo? So he asked me Venmo some random account, and then that random account Venmos me my money back. And so
huh?
I know.
Make it make sense.
I know. So then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna Zelle you from my boyfriend's account. So I have to use my boyfriend's Zelle to send this guy the money, but then it finally goes through. What? And he's like, okay, it's still showing as pending, so I'm gonna wait until it clears and then we'll do the second ticket. So like 2 days goes by and I don't hear from this guy. So I have one ticket. Which I'm like, you know, if worst comes to worst, we have one ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, but I want this second ticket. So eventually he comes back and he's like, okay, we can do the second ticket now. He's like, but I want a bit more money. And thankfully, like, the average, so I paid, like, between the 2 tickets, the average for basically what I paid total, still equaled around face value. I think it took it kind of up to, like, maybe, like, it was definitely not like horribly scalped if it was.
Good.
And I feel like I remember like seeing Eras Tour Resale like list tickets that were almost exactly equivalent to mine, but like across the arena, and they were even more expensive than what we paid. So we either got them at face value or slightly cheaper. So either way, it wasn't a big deal. But he sent me the second ticket. I had to use my boyfriend's Zelle because mine was still frozen, and I got the tickets. It was crazy.
Wow.
That's like a miracle story, because the way that also he took such a big risk with even sending you one ticket first, like you could have been the scammer this whole time.
I know. Like I look back at it and I'm like, you know, and like I tell people whenever like they ask me how I did, I'm like, don't do what I did, because what I did, like sending money through Zelle is like, I do not recommend it. Like if something had happened with the tickets and like somehow they got canceled or whatever, like I would have lost that money. I took a big risk, but like it worked out. Like I remember we got to the show and I was so nervous that we were going to get to that gate and they weren't going to scan, even though they were in my Ticketmaster, they were in my Apple Wallet. I was like, what if we get all the way there and then they don't work? But nope, they worked. We got in. We had a great time.
Wow, that's amazing.
So once I got those tickets, it was before the show, but after I got the tickets, pretty much right after I got those tickets and had that experience, I created my account because I had learned a lot about like what scammers would do, the kinds of messages they'd send, what to kind of look for in a screen recording that they would send you. You know, if you say, hey, you know, if they're saying they have tickets and then you ask them for a screen recording, there's a lot of like telltale signs of it being fake. So I'd gotten really good at spotting those. So that's what kind of prompted me to create my account. Originally, I was just going to use my account to kind of help people avoid scams and like help verify screen recordings and post tips and stuff. And that's kind of what it was for maybe a couple weeks. And then every so often I'd have someone come to me and be like, hey, like I have tickets that I need to sell. And they couldn't get a hold of some of the bigger accounts just because they would be getting so many messages. They may just not have seen it. And since I had a smaller following, they were like, I'm happy, you know, to kind of have you help me sell them. So I definitely went through a few iterations with my process and how I sell them, but that's kind of how people started coming to me. And then obviously since then too, there's been other accounts that pop up. So there are definitely a lot of good people in the community, but I'm very glad that I was able to kind of make my little space when I did and that I still have it. So yeah.
Yeah. And how did you start to feel when you noticed that you were actually like making a difference? Like a lot of fans are starting to get tickets because I know your page started to grow a lot.
Yeah. This is like the most followers I've ever had on like a social media account ever. Like when I was in like high school and I had like 15,000 followers on my account that I had way back then that like has dwindled down. And I mean, even then it's mostly like accounts that haven't been used probably since like 2015. Like I thought that I had a large following then, and now I'm like slowly but surely creeping up on like 30,000 because I have 28,000 right now. It's been crazy. And you know, it's nice because I feel like I'm able to reach a lot of people and help a lot of people. And, you know, even if I can't get tickets to everyone, I can at least do my best to try and help prevent people from getting scammed. Whenever I'm able to, I'm trying to look through my messages, but sometimes I just get so many messages. I do my best to kind of help people verify screen recordings they get, things like that. Even when I don't have tickets to help sell. Yeah, it's crazy to think that there are so many people following me, and it's crazy to think that there are so many people I've been able to help. Like, even though, you know, I wish I had 28,000 tickets to give to all my followers. That is one thing that I always get a little sad about whenever I am selling tickets. I'm so happy for the people that do get to buy them, but then I feel so sad for the thousands of people who also tried to get them and couldn't because that's just how life goes. And but I am very glad. Like I've probably been able to get like over 100 people. I don't have an official account. I don't have an official count, but I would say like through direct selling or giveaways, it's been over 100. I don't know how many people, but then, you know, I'll have people come to me and say, you know, because of the tips you posted on your account or because you helped me verify the screen recording, I was able to get tickets. So that's not even counting that. So I would think the number is pretty great. And I think that, you know, a lot of the accounts in the space share tips, and I do my best if they have good information to share that on my page as well. So I know we all kind of try to support each other so that, you know, even if we can't physically give you tickets, we can teach you how. And I know that there are some really good accounts out there who have been doing that, and I try to retweet them when I can. Yeah.
You mentioned face value.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who may not know, face value is just the price of the ticket as it was sold. So you paid $150 for a ticket, you sell it for $150 for a ticket. Yeah. So do you only sell your tickets at face value, as in like what the person purchased them for? Or do you like if somebody's selling their tickets, do you allow them to like price gauge a little bit? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So what I allow people to do on my page is they are allowed to sell for what they paid. Now, if that means they bought it, you know, from Ticketmaster at face value for $150, they can only sell it at my page for $150. Now, I haven't done this yet for the new North American leg, but I did offer this for the previous North American leg. If they were to buy a ticket on, let's say, StubHub for $1,000, they could list it for what they paid. So even if it is an $150 ticket, if they can prove to me that they paid $1,000 for it, they can list it for that. I have mixed feelings about doing that, and I haven't done that yet for this leg, but I'll kind of see how it goes when it gets closer, because I don't want to list those resale price tickets this far away from the shows. Maybe when it gets closer, I'll kind of have to see, but I know that it did help some people, but you know, sometimes those prices can just be so crazy, and I don't really want to necessarily encourage people buying from StubHub. If they are planning to resell them, you know, you should only buy them from those reselling sites if you're planning to use them. But at the same time, you know, maybe the tickets that someone bought are in someone's price range, and me posting about it helps that connect them. So I'm a little more conflicted about, but I've seen some benefits and some consequences with that. But right now, I'm only doing the face value for what they were on Ticketmaster. So yeah.
And we love that. I mean, that's amazing, because that's what they should be being sold at. Yep. But so my next question is, let's say we have a listener, somebody who's listening to this podcast right now, and they have 3 tickets that they want to sell to Miami, and they're not selling them to us. So I don't know what's wrong with them, but no, I'm kidding. So they have 3 tickets to the show Miami, and they approach you to sell their tickets. What would that process be like for them?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really like to offer for my sellers is pretty much complete anonymity from start until pretty much the end. The only person that really knows who they are is whoever the selected buyer is. I kind of do all of the middleman work. And sometimes the seller will remain completely anonymous in the case that they sell the ticket directly to me. So I'll walk you through the whole process. So if they reach out to me, first, I would ask them to, you know, verify the tickets, which would mean sending me a screen recording, the email. We'll probably chat a bit just so I can kind of gauge who they are and make sure that, you know, the whole story lines up. After I've verified that the tickets are completely real, that's when I'll usually offer them the option of, if they want to sell directly, if they want the money right away, I'll offer to buy them off of the seller for whatever the face value price was, so that I can just list it on my own time, and that way they can have the money. But if they're flexible in the timing and they're willing to wait, you know, because I like to leave my posts open for most of the day. If they have that flexibility, then I'll say, okay, cool. Like, I'll just connect you with the buyer once I pick them. So then I'll list it on my account. I've gone through a couple iterations with my process and how I've done this. Sometimes I'll have people retweet a tweet. Other times I have them fill out a Google form. People really liked the Google form method.
Yeah, we were fans of it.
Yeah. And I like that too. I think it's easier than the retweets. I think it's easier to keep track of things. So that's what I've been doing for the last few times I've done tickets. And I think that it's been working really well for me, and that's probably how I'm going to continue doing it. So I'll make the listing. People basically will have, you know, I'll list them sometime around, like, I don't know, noon Eastern time. And then I'll put on the tweet, you know, fill out this form if you're interested. You know, the form is going to close at 9 p.m. Eastern. And at that time, I'm going to, you know, review the submissions, and then select a buyer. So what I do then is I go through and I just kind of do like a quick high level, you know, making sure to the best of my ability that, you know, people aren't trying to enter twice. It's, you know, when I get 3,000 plus entries, which is typically what happens, usually somewhere between 2,000, 3,000,
Wow.
depending on, it's crazy, depending on what it is. I can't manually go through and make sure, but there are some ways that I can kind of verify that, you know, people aren't trying to enter twice. I do the best I can with that. And then I just use a random number generator. So let's say, you know, there's 2,000 submissions. I just do a random number between 1 and 2,000, and, you know, it picks, you know, 962. I then I go into the responses, type in 962, And I, again, I look through that person, I look through their Twitter account, and it's so funny. I'll say that I make sure that they're not a scam or a bot. I'll tweet that, and then people will be like, I swear, like, I know I have no tweets, but I'm not like, and I'm like, I always have to tell people, I'm like, trust me, like, even if you're using clearly a burner account, I know what scammer accounts look like. Like, I know what I'm looking for. Like, even if you have like next to nothing on your profile, I'll know. Like, it's
Right.
easy to tell.
You don't want them, they don't have to be active on Twitter. They just can't be a scammer.
Right. And usually I can tell, especially by if I like search their username. That has never happened. I've never had to, redraw anything because the account was a scammer, because usually they're not the ones entering. I know there's been sometimes where I've done giveaways where like, so when I do it with the buying, I don't announce the buyer publicly. I just direct message them privately. Just again to keep that anonymity. If they choose to post about it, then sometimes I'll like quote them or say something. But if they didn't post it, I don't publicize it. I do for giveaways. The main reason for that is for accountability. I don't want people thinking I'm like keeping the tickets that I'm giving away for myself. So, and I like that's one thing, like, I will post for giveaways, just to keep me accountable. Prove that I'm not keeping these. I remember there was one time I had a giveaway, and both of my giveaway winners were pretty much like burner accounts, even though they and people were accusing them of me being the burner account. And I was like, I already have, like, they were Miami tickets. And I was like, I already have Miami tickets. Like, I don't, that I got, the fair way. Like, these aren't mine. Like that's like one of the big things that I try to make very clear on my page is like, I don't care, like, whether you are a Twitter Swiftie or not. Like, I just, like, if you're a Swiftie, then I want to help you get to the Eras Tour. Like, I don't, like, you don't need to be active on Twitter to buy or to win a giveaway from my page. I want it to be accessible to all. So, and now back from that tangent, back to the selling process. So, once that buyer is randomly selected, I verified that they are in fact a real person. I'll message them and usually have a little conversation with them, and then depending on, so if the seller had directly sold the tickets to me, I would just facilitate the transaction with the buyer myself. I would send them a screen recording, because at that point I would have the ticket in my own account,
right?
And then they would send me the money after all is said and done, and then I would transfer them the ticket. If they are buying from the seller directly, what I'll do is I'll make a group direct message with me, the buyer, and the seller, and then I'll just kind of walk them through the process of, saying, okay, like, seller, what is your PayPal information? And then I'll say, okay, buyer, go send seller X amount of money, which is the face value usually plus like the 2.99% goods and service fee. Right. And then I say, okay, seller, did you get the money? And then they'll be like, yep. And so then I'll say, okay, cool. Now buyer, give them your Ticketmaster info. And then seller will be like, okay, gonna send the tickets. I basically just make sure everything goes according to plan.
Swiftly, yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Nice worst choice.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that is how it is. So that is one of the things that I really like is that anonymity that both the buyers and sellers get. I think it makes it a lot easier on the seller. They're not getting thousands of direct messages. Instead, I'm just getting thousands of responses on a Google form.
Right.
Which makes it a lot easier. And the reason I leave my posts open all day is because I want people to be, like I said, like, accessibility is a very important thing to me. So like, I don't say you can't get a ticket from me because you don't have a Swiftie dedicated account on Twitter. Like, it's that just, like, anyone can be a Swiftie. Anyone could want tickets to the, like, it's, as long as I know you're going to use them and you're not just going to resell them, like, right. You deserve to go. So I'm very proactive about that. And I want everyone to be able to buy tickets if they want to. So that's why I like to leave my listings open all day. If I just say, hey, go direct message this person, well, that system does have its benefits, and I definitely can see the merit in it. It definitely makes things go a lot faster. And you can reach more people that way. Sometimes, you can manage more sellers versus, Me, I definitely take a lot more. It takes a lot more time with my system, so it just kind of depends. But the benefit of doing it this way is that I can leave that Google form open all day. If someone, is in a meeting or they're at work or they're at school or they're asleep when I make
Right.
the post with the listing, usually they have around 8 hours or so to fill out that form. To say, I try to, and even then throughout the day, I'll be like, hey, in case you missed it, I have this pair of Miami tickets available. Make sure you filled out the form if you're interested. So it just kind of makes it a little easier. So if you miss the initial post, you're not left out. So that's one of the benefits to doing it this way. But there's obviously a lot of systems and they all have their benefits.
I feel like you have a pretty like streamlined process, and it's like like not subjective, which I feel like the whole like, oh, DM me and I'll pick.
Right.
I'll pick someone in my DMs. It's like, well, what am I supposed to say in the DM? Like, do you want a whole paragraph of like why I want the tickets, or do you just want, like it makes it just more like, oh, what do they need from me? Whereas your Google form is very just like to the point. Everyone has the same questions to answer, and it just makes it truly like more fair and accessible, like you said.
Yeah, fairness is a very big thing for me. That is why I pretty much I do everything random. Random number generators. I have for the Google form, it's really easy because all responses are numbered. For giveaways, I have a few different random generator apps that I use. I have one that I really like. Sometimes if it's down, I have another one. It's just doing things randomly is definitely the fairest way. It's also, there's a lot of, especially for giveaways, there's a lot of legal aspects around it that I don't always think people realize. That's another thing. Like when I had that incident happen where I had done a giveaway and, I had announced the winners and they were clearly like burner accounts. Like they were two real people. I spoke to both of them and, they were both very real fans. They're just like, we don't use Twitter. People were saying like, I don't know why you didn't just redraw till you got like Taylor Swift fan accounts. And I was like, well, legal, like morally I couldn't, but also legally, if I were to get caught doing that, you can't. Like that's another thing I've learned a lot of in doing my account is the legality around some of these things. And like, if you were to get caught redrawing winners, like you can get in serious trouble for that. So I think that, I very much value fairness, randomness, just like inclusivity on my page. I think that that's very important.
Yeah, Jayna, you literally do more than Ticketmaster does. I mean,
I try.
In this whole process, with ticket sales, we're seeing obviously people who are new to this ticket buying experience, whether that's parents buying tickets for their kids or even younger ticket buyers, so young people who are purchasing. What would you say is something that you wish people would be mindful of or, keep into consideration when participating in this process?
So yeah, I definitely like it's crazy to think about how the ticket buying process has changed since I was a young ticket buyer. Like I've been going to concerts since I was a kid. Granted, when I was a kid, my mom was usually the one going on Ticketmaster and buying the tickets. I don't think I can even begin to imagine her trying to navigate the Taylor Swift ticket space. I've tried to explain to her what I do on my profile, and it baffles her. Like it's like I can think like I remember, anytime there'd be a concert, like my dad refreshing, on his computer, or my mom refreshing on her computer, and like it's so crazy to think how things have changed. And I can't even imagine like being a young buyer in this, or even like having to rely on like your parents to do it. I think
that was us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like there is so much that has changed. And I think, and I agree, there are a lot of things to be mindful of. I think, especially when it comes to like Taylor Swift, the big thing that I learned when it comes to verified fan is it is completely random. It is completely random on whether you're going to get selected for verified fan or not. The best advice I can give, and this is the advice that I took when, registering for verified fan for the Guts tour with Olivia Rodrigo, I registered as many accounts as I could. I registered my account. I registered my boyfriend's account. I registered two of my friends' accounts. I registered my parents' accounts. Like I had so many people register for me. And even then, only like I got lucky in that I had 2 of the accounts that I registered get selected, but like
Yay.
most people didn't even get one. So
Mhm.
like it was crazy. So that's one of the biggest things I can say is like, you know, this is never anything I would have thought of when I was younger. Is like registering a bunch of accounts to being able to like get tickets. Like that's just not a thing. But it is now. Especially because when it comes to what those scalpers will do is crazy. And I think so that's the first thing. When it comes to actually buying tickets, specifically for Taylor Swift, I will say if you do get verified fan and you make it into those sales, get in there as fast as you can and buy tickets as fast as you can. Like unfortunately, like this is not one of those ones where you can kind of pick and choose. Like you have to go so fast. Like there's been a couple times where like all have been in the sale, usually because I'm driving an account because my account always gets waitlisted. But when I'm driving someone else's account, like you just have to move so fast. And there are some good accounts out there that have some very good tips for how to do that. That I try to repost them, but they've done a lot of research into it. So like that's my tips for that. And then obviously another very important thing is to avoid scams. There are so many people out there that want to scam you. Like it is crazy to me how much these like the lengths that these people will go to. Like I remember I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago who got scammed by an account. Like the girl literally was FaceTiming her like as she scammed her.
What?
Like it was crazy. And like and I feel like, you know, every couple of weeks I get, you know, explained to me a new scammer tactic. Like they're like, oh, I almost got scammed like this. And it'll be a completely new thing that I've never heard a scammer say before. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that one before. Like they just get smarter. Like at one point they were like, and I think they still use this, is they have their own like fake Ticketmaster app that they like download on their phones for the screen recordings. It doesn't even look like Ticketmaster. Like it's like, I'm like, I don't even know what they're doing. Or like there was one time that like someone, like I always tell people if someone is like recording themselves on their laptop, don't trust that, because what they've done is they'll like code their own Ticketmaster and host it locally on their machine. So I'm a software developer by trade. So I remember one time I was watching one and I saw like, this is going to get technical, but I saw a little thing that said local host, which means that they're hosting the website locally on their machine.
Mm.
So like I was like, this isn't even the real Ticketmaster. This is the local host Ticketmaster. Like it was crazy, but it's like, you know, if you didn't know that,
I would have never known that. So
right, like, and the thing is like the URL looked okay, but I remember I saw it very briefly hover over before it changed, and it said localhost, and I was like, this is being hosted local. Like this is not the real Ticketmaster. This is code they're running on their computer to look like Ticketmaster, but not real Ticketmaster. So.
Wow.
And that's just, I mean, one of the like millions of ways I've seen these scammers operate. So it's crazy. So I think the biggest thing there is to just be careful. Always trust your gut. If something is too good to be true, it probably is.
Mhm.
And you know, there for every real person with Taylor Swift tickets, there's probably 1,000 scammers. Like it's unfortunate that that's the truth. But that's unfortunately that's pretty much how I've seen it become. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was actually kind of similar to the question that I was going to ask. I think it's just important maybe if we talk about and let our listeners know like some of the biggest red flags to look for in scammers. Like I'm hoping that anybody who's listening to this episode, if you want to sell your tickets or you want to purchase them like via reseller, you go through an account like Jayna. Honestly, like Jayna's probably the one that I trust the most. So I would hope that you listen to this episode and look for Jayna. But if you are going to buy your tickets, like what are some things that we can do to look out for scammers? Because we've talked about it with our listeners in the past, but coming from somebody who sees it all the time, you know.
Yeah, no, that is a great question. And hopefully I'm able to touch on everything that I want to touch on. So the biggest thing is getting a screen recording. However, scammers have found ways to adjust their screen recordings, to crop the screen recordings, to try and make it look more realistic to an untrained eye. I know at first I never felt victim to a scam, but I would look at a screen recording and be like, that looks kind of realistic. But I would never send them the money because usually they'd say they don't accept PayPal goods and services. So that's one of the first things is getting that screen recording. Becoming very vigilant of what a real one looks like. Mm-hmm. So that you know what you're looking for. You know, like one thing that's been kind of nice is Ticketmaster updated recently, and so the tickets page looks completely different. So now whenever someone sends me a screen recording, if it's using like the old Ticketmaster look, instantly I know it's a scam because I'm like, Ticketmaster doesn't look like that anymore. So, and thankfully, like the scammers haven't caught up to it yet. I mean, some have, but a lot haven't. Other common things are, you know, timestamps being cropped out, you know, the little bar across the top of your phone that says the time. Sometimes people crop that out because, you know, there would be an inconsistency in time. That always means a scam. You know, the other main thing that I'll look for is so when they go from the homepage of Ticketmaster to the tickets page, the bottom menu across the bottom, that will jump. Even if it's just like a single pixel, it jumps. If you can catch that, that means it's a video crop together. It should not jump. The real Ticketmaster, it's not going to jump a single pixel. Like it is like they've gotten good. There are some that it's just very clearly, you know, it jumps like a lot of pixels, but sometimes it'll just be like 1 or 2 pixels. And it's like, I notice it, but that's because I've seen so many videos and I can't even fault people for not catching it because it is so slight. There's also, you know, if you've never used Ticketmaster before, or even if you have, you know, learning how Ticketmaster looks, the transitions between different things, you know, the transition, like what the app looks like when you go from the homepage to the ticket page. Sometimes I'll see cropped videos that like have them do kind of like a crossfade effect, and it's like that's not how Ticketmaster works. It's just like it just cuts, like it's not a crossfade. Sometimes I'll see like weird like when they're scrolling through the tickets on their profile, it'll have, you know, some weird transition, like it'll be like you're scrolling through a camera roll instead of scrolling through the tickets, and I'm like, this is someone clearly scrolling through their camera roll. Like, come on, guys. So like it's there are so many things that they try, and again, to an untrained eye, they might think it's real. And it's you know, there are so many things that these scammers will do. So I think learning what Ticketmaster really looks like and like understanding what to look for in a screen recording, I think that's a big thing. Second thing, if for any reason they do not accept PayPal goods and services, run. Like they are a scammer. Like any real seller will accept PayPal goods and services. There is no legitimate excuse as to not. Like it takes 10 seconds to sign up for a PayPal account. Like even if they try to say like, oh, the money's going to be frozen for 21 days, who cares? You're still going to get your money.
Right.
So like if they try to say like the money's going to get frozen, like I want to be able to access it now. Okay, find someone else. Like if that's the excuse they're going to use, like yes, like and that is one thing I'll clarify is, you know, people will use that as an excuse and say like, oh well, if your account's new, the money will be frozen for like, I think it's 21 days or something like that. And that is true. PayPal, if you've never used your PayPal or you've only used it a little bit, if you get a goods and services payment with that, like with a large amount of money, PayPal's gonna, it's not flagging it, but kind of flagging it. Mm-hmm. They'll just hold on to the money for 21 days and then they'll release it to you. You don't have to do anything. No one has to do anything. It just, you know, they're making sure it's all good. If you have an account that you've been using for a long time, that won't happen. I've been using my PayPal account for years. I use it for everything. So like anytime someone sends me money with goods and services, I'm able to access it right away. But if you have a new account, but again, if someone tries to tell you that that's the reason they won't use PayPal goods and services, not a good excuse. There is no good excuse as to why you can't use PayPal goods and services. Not friends and family, not PayPal donation links. That's another thing is I had someone try to like before I had my account back when I was searching for those Cincinnati tickets, I had someone try to send me like a PayPal donation link. And like they were like, you can do goods and services through this. I'm like, no, I can't. And I was
They're really out here trying.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like you have to make sure it is goods and services. Nothing else. Nothing other than PayPal goods and services. And another thing that I remember I found, this was a random tactic that came out months into me having my account, is scammers would be like, okay, like, yeah, I'll accept PayPal goods and services. And then, the person will send them the money and they'll be like, okay, I can't access the money yet, but if you go to your account and release the money by saying that you got the goods, then I'll get the money and then I'll send you the ticket. So if you go in and you've paid PayPal goods and services and you release the money saying I received my goods, then you can't get it back. And that's how they scam you using PayPal goods and services. Another way to get scammed via PayPal goods and services is if for some reason PayPal decides to side with the scammer. That doesn't happen very much, but whenever people ask me if PayPal goods and services will like protect you 100% of the time, I try to say like 95%. I have heard some very edge cases of PayPal goods and services, like with PayPal siding with the scammer, but that does not happen very often. Like it is an edge case. It may even be 99% effective. Like I don't want to promise anyone that it's going to protect them like 100% of the time, but it is the safest way to do it by far. And if you are scammed, that is unless you've used PayPal goods and services, the odds of you getting your money back are slim. So yeah, any excuse to not use PayPal goods and services, run, because that's just a scammer. A couple other little things: if they try to show you, if they refuse to give you a screen recording of the tickets in Ticketmaster, it's a scam. If they're only showing you a confirmation email, either in a screenshot or a screen recording, fake. Confirmation emails alone, without proof of tickets, are always fake. Screenshots, always fake. Always get a screen recording. And it has to be of the tickets in Ticketmaster. And make sure it's them going from your messages to the tickets in Ticketmaster. Not just a video of Ticketmaster, because it could be cropped. And then try to get to know the person that you're buying the tickets from, even if it's just in a little bit, but like trying to say like, hey, why are you selling these tickets? Like these are the kind of conversations I'll have with my sellers as well. It's like, why are you selling the tickets? One of the big things that I've noticed with scammers, and again, this isn't all scammers, and not saying that this means that they're a scammer, but a lot of them will be speaking like English that is very hard to understand. Usually meaning that they're using Google Translate of some kind. Again, just because someone doesn't speak good English, like, does not mean they're a scammer. And I always feel so, like, it's so difficult to try and explain that because, just because someone speaks broken English does not mean that they're a scammer. But unfortunately, the overlap between the two, it can be a correlation sometimes. And, if I see someone, who sends me like a conversation they're having with a quote unquote seller, and, I can barely understand the English that the seller is saying because it just doesn't make sense. They're using vocabulary that just doesn't make sense to a native speaker. It's that in itself isn't a red flag because, again, just because they're not
no, of course,
first, just because English isn't their first language or something like not a language they're familiar with, it doesn't mean they're automatically a scammer. But that with other factors, it can definitely raise the red flag when combined with some of the other things that I've mentioned. So, and they'll use like a lot of the same kind of language. Like I remember if they say like kindly DM me, like kindly was like, that's a red flag where like that, like there were a few others, or like if they're calling you dear, like those, they've kind of stopped doing that. But when I first made my account, like I would see like kindly. And so like that just became like a huge meme for a while. I was like just saying kindly because like that was what scammers would say. I don't know why that's the word they would use, but that was a word that like if you saw that in a message, that's how you knew it was a scam. Like it was like, it's
that
just,
was like number one red flag.
Yeah, it was so funny. So like it is very hard to tell. And then at the end of the day, like if you are unsure and after everything I've said here and you're still afraid and you still are not sure, there are people who will help you look at the screen recordings. Like I know I'm one. And if I for some reason don't see your direct message, tweet me, because that's another thing too, is like sometimes I just get so many direct messages and I miss them. If you tweet me and say, hey, I sent you a screen recording via DM, then I'll go and see it, because then it will be right in the forefront of my mind. But there's other accounts that will do that too. I believe some of the other resale accounts will as well. Just make sure it's a real resale account. There are a lot of scam ones out there too.
No one is safe.
No, they're really
it's
not.
hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard out there.
It is. Like, there are so many fake resale accounts, and like I do my best to try and get them suspended when I see them, but like, you know, it's like there was one that had scammed so many people, and then like, because it looked so real, because they would post these fake giveaways, and they have like 3,000 followers because of these fake giveaways, and so their account looked real. And then I finally got them suspended. They were one of the people that was like coming after me at the beginning of this year, because they were so mad that I had been, I don't even know if I wasn't even the only person that was like coming after them, but like I was like, maybe like don't steal money from people and then you won't get your account suspended.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to tell you,
that.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Yeah. And unfortunately too, a lot of the Facebook groups where it's like,
Oh my God.
yeah, Facebook is a really, really, really dangerous place for scammers.
Yeah.
The Facebook groups with the comments off, like the public comments off, but then the posts of like selling this ticket, DM me, and no one can comment. That's always just,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was, because like I said, I found my tickets in a Facebook group, which again is still the funniest thing, because I tell anyone that and they're like, how? And I'm like, I don't know. But like there were a couple groups I was in, and I remember there was one group I was in, and there was this guy who was like the admin of that group, and he was like the admin of like a bunch of resale groups. Like I think he was also the admin of like a Beyonce resale group. And I remember I took a screenshot of it and I like sent his profile to someone, and in one of the other groups I was in, they're like, oh yeah, that guy's like a very well-known scammer. And I remember it was so funny, because I had messaged him and I was like, hey, like I'm interested in the Taylor Swift tickets, before I knew he was a scammer. And I asked him for a screen recording. He's like, I'm not gonna waste my time sending you a screen recording. And I was like, do you accept PayPal goods and services? He's like, it's this was 2023 at the time. He's like, it's 2023. No one's using PayPal anymore. Okay. Like, the guy was so mean. I'm like, how are you scamming people if this is your attitude? Like, at least try.
Like, at least say kindly. Come on now.
Right. Like, this guy wasn't even trying. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. It's crazy.
I think you gave a really good point though, which like, it's one that like is obvious when you say it out loud, but then like doesn't seem obvious, of like understanding what a real ticket looks like before you get a fake ticket. Because like a lot of people are looking for tickets because they don't have a ticket in their Ticketmaster. So what a ticket might look like a Ticketmaster ticket would
if
look like, but it's not. So like that was a really good point, and like one that might be just harder to find something to compare it to. But
and I know that like I've tried to post some like watermarked videos of like, here is what a real screen recording looks like, here's what a real ticket looks like.
That's helpful.
And always try to make sure it's watermarked, because again, you don't want people stealing those and claiming them as their own.
Right.
I know I posted that. There's a few other accounts who have posted them as well. It's crazy. But yeah, I always definitely recommend like reaching out to someone who, if it's not very clearly fake to you and you really do believe it, before sending money, even never send money unless it's through PayPal goods and services. Like I like, that is my soapbox, and I will die on that hill, is like, don't send money unless it's through PayPal goods and services. Like, nothing else is going to protect you. Venmo goods and services explicitly does not cover concert tickets. Venmo goods and services, not good.
Wait, that's so funny, because I literally pulled up Venmo goods and services while you were talking, and I was like, it's too complicated, I won't ask her. But I was going to ask, like, how does that work?
I remember someone else had done the digging, because it wasn't me, but I forget who it was, but it was one of the other accounts in the space, and they had said like, it explicitly does not cover concert tickets. So I don't remember the exact verbiage, but like it is not protective of concert tickets. So Venmo Goods and
Wow.
Services won't protect you. So that is the soapbox that I will stand on. I will preach that. I will say that till the day I die. Like, don't send money unless it's through PayPal Goods and Services.
If there's anything that anybody learned here today, it's avoid the word kindly and only pay through PayPal Goods and Services.
Correct.
Moral of the story.
Yes. Yes.
Sammy, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, thinking about it, I would never want my parents to go through this.
Oh, God, me either.
Like, it's just so tech advanced, so complicated, so niche. Like,
Yeah.
not saying that they're not like capable, but
yeah, no, I get what you mean. My parents could never. Like, my mom is pretty tech savvy, but like, even then, I feel like this would be just beyond what she would like, what she would have to know when it comes to it. And that my dad is a boomer, and he's a boomer when it comes to technology. That man has had he's been through the ringer with his technology. He is not the best. There is no way it would go well for him, but he knows it. But like, he knows that, and so like it's I can't even imagine if they were having to do this right now. Like, I'm glad that I'm the one that's doing it.
It's just insane that you even have to do that, though. Like, dedicate so much of your time to like
Crazy.
having to do this when we were in middle school, Renee's mom would just get us the tickets and our parents would just send the cash. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
That's exactly how it is. Yeah. And that's how it was for me growing up too. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But I'm so happy that you are doing it, because you're protecting a lot of people, and there's so many people that wouldn't even know these problems exist. So just posting the pictures, posting the videos, the recs, and putting them in line with an actual valid seller is the best thing. And I'm so happy that you exist and you created this space, and so grateful.
Thank you.
We are very, very grateful for you and your page, and we are always on there, always looking for tickets. So
I love it.
We're in the struggle too. You know, I feel like some people wrongly assume that like just because you love Taylor Swift, you automatically know how to get tickets. You automatically have tickets. Like, no, we're all on the same struggle bus, babe.
Yeah. It's every we are all out here struggling. Like, it is crazy. No, I'm very glad that this space exists. I'm glad that I can be a part of it, and I'm thankful for all the other accounts, the real ones out there that are doing all the amazing things that they're doing. And I'm lucky that I get to be a part of it. Like, there's a lot of awesome people that I've learned from, and I try to shout them out on my page when I can. So yeah, there's a lot of great people out there.
We absolutely appreciate it. We appreciate you even coming on the show and giving us your time to explain to our listeners what to avoid, to help everybody get tickets. That being said, if our listeners are looking to sell their tickets or purchase tickets, enter a giveaway, that kind of thing, where should they follow you? Where should they find you? How can they interact with you?
Yeah, so definitely the main place is Twitter, or, X, whatever Elon wants to call it. So that is at the @ eras_resale. That's my Twitter. That's kind of the hub of everything. I do have an Instagram. I don't post on it all that much, but it's at that girl Jayna. I did a live on there when I won a giveaway from Flavor Flav. So people do know that's my Instagram. That's where that video is. So those are like my two main that I have. But Twitter is definitely the main place where you will find me. Messaging me on there. That is the best place to find me, is at eras_resale.
And last and most important question, what Flavor Flav giveaway did you win?
Oh my gosh. so
I must know.
So this was like maybe like a month or so ago. So he had like tweeted about how he had a bunch of like Flavor Flav Reputation themed stuff that he had just like bought. And he's like, I'm just gonna like give it away to someone. Like, comment below who I should give it to. And a bunch of people started tagging me, and then I was like, oh my god, like if I've ever helped you, like go tag me below. I would love to win this. And so like I think over like 100 people ended up tagging me. And so then I got reached out to, and they were like, you win the giveaway. Like let me send you the stuff. So I have I got a bunch of cute little things. The best thing that the two most iconic things I got were I got a signed photo of him personalized with my name on it and everything, and then I also got this T-shirt that so they get all of his custom shirts from Swifties small businesses. So he has this one shirt that they had made for him that then they also made a matching one for me. So I have that. It's awesome.
That's iconic. You deserve.
I died when I won that. Like that's like my favorite crossover is Flavor Flav and Taylor Swift. Best thing.
I love it.
We're gonna have to have Flavor Flav on the pod.
Oh my god! You probably could. Like, he's everywhere. That's his song. He's everywhere, man. So he very well could be.
I'll work on it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jayna, on behalf of us and the entire Swiftie community and everybody that you've helped get tickets, sell their tickets, all of it. We appreciate it and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, that about wraps up this week's episode of the T Swift Sisters podcast. Before we log off, please remember to follow our podcast on your favorite listening platform by clicking the plus button next to our show. Give us a rating. Download the episode so you can listen offline. Follow us on social media for live Taylor Swift news updates and to be absolutely fed with all the content of Taylor and Travis because I popped off on our social media this weekend. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at T Swift Sisters Pod or Twitter at T Swift Sisters. If you are a Twitter user, do not forget to follow Jayna at eras_resale so that you can try and get your hands on tickets if you haven't, or you can sell your tickets to a Swiftie who's looking for them for face value. Thanks so much for savoring this week's Swift Scoop. We hope you've had your fill of all things Taylor Swift, and we will see you next week right here on the T Swift Sisters podcast. Bye.